This episode is sponsored by Terrific Pinning, my Pinterest course for TPT sellers. If you want to increase your sales on Teachers Pay Teachers or on your own website shop, grow your email list, or even just drive more traffic to your long form content, such as a blog or a website, this course is for you. This course helps you get set up on Pinterest and then teaches you everything you need to know about boards, pins, video pins, writing descriptions, and SEO, and of course, all the important stuff when it comes to the pinning strategy, like how many pins are you supposed to make, when and where are you supposed to pin them, how many times, all of those overwhelming questions that you might have, and even goes into things like analytics and promoted pins. And a new bonus module was recently added about blogging because Pinterest and blogging go really well together. So if you are interested in using Pinterest to grow your business, check out Terrific Pinning. It is open this week. I will put a link in the show notes for you to check out.
You're listening to The Terrific Teacherpreneur, a podcast for teachers looking to grow a successful online business. Your host, Alex, was able to transform her Teachers Pay Teachers store from a small side hustle into a profitable full-time business. She now helps other teachers do the same. Listen along for actionable tips and helpful wisdom about business and marketing as a teacherpreneur. Here's your host, Alex.
Hey, welcome to the Terrific Teacherpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Alex. This week, we're chatting about Pinterest, and specifically, I really want to talk about video pins. And the reason I want to chat about those is because I find that they perform better for me a lot of the time than the average static picture pin does. So video pins are kind of the way forward. They have been around for quite a few years now, and I honestly think it's just a lot like TikTok and Instagram and how video really is truly taking over when it comes to marketing. So it's kind of a bandwagon that you have to jump on. But anyway, video is really popular, and it just does perform better for me on Pinterest. I find that my video pins tend to get more impressions and just seem to reach more people. So I think it's worthwhile talking about. And in this episode, I just want to share a few tips about how you can be making videos on Pinterest in a really manageable, easy way. And I'm going to keep it nice and brief if I can. And I always say that, and these episodes tend to go on and on, but I'm going to actually try this time, I promise. So let's get to it. How do you make a video pin? Now, you don't need any fancy cameras or professional photography equipment. Your iPhone or Samsung phone or whatever is good enough. I'm sure it has a great camera. And this is just simple product photography stuff. You just need to make sure that any video that you're going to put on Pinterest or use anywhere else, and I hope that you would be repurposing this somewhere else, is a good quality video. So, grab yourself, whether it's a wooden or white backdrop, some kind of clean, crisp, clear, lovely backdrop that you can use. And I want you to print out your resources and show them in action. So worksheets, crafts, task cards and things. And when it comes to showing the resource, what do you do with it? How do you interact with it? It's really as simple as actually completing the activity or kind of showing the activity. So if there's a worksheet, then you can be filling it out and coloring it in, writing on it, kind of like you're a student almost using the activity. So that's one thing you can do. The other thing as well is you can just kind of manipulate the activity. And that means like putting worksheets down, moving task cards around, opening and closing things, like lifting flaps, and just kind of moving things around. That works too. But you're basically just showcasing the resource to the best of your abilities. And I actually really think that these tips are worthwhile beyond Pinterest video pins. You could be using this stuff, just on your video previews or anywhere else. I think a really great plan is for you to print a resource, get your camera out and start filming it, and then use that video in lots of places. Throw it up on Pinterest, but also put it on Instagram, on TikTok, whatever. Use it in a bunch of different places, and especially on your TPT listing as a video preview. There's no harm in that. When you're actually filming the video, it can be good to make sure that you're zoomed out far enough that you can crop the video to change the ratio, which means you may want it to be like a portrait, long, thin kind of shape, 2:3 ratio on Pinterest. You want it to be quite long for TikTok and Instagram, but you may want to be able to chop it down to a square that looks a bit better on TPT as a video preview. So if you leave some space at the top and the bottom there, you can do that and you won't be cutting off your resource. But anyway, bird's eye view from above. Now you can hold your camera, but I actually recommend also considering maybe buying some kind of phone holder. And then I want you to make sure that you are filming this video in good conditions, bright sunny day, nice daylight, that kind of thing. Pop a collar in the background, some colored bits of paper, stationery and props and things like that around, and then go ahead and film it. Now, don't be filming for minutes and minutes and minutes. People do not have super long attention spans these days. So honestly, you want to be keeping this nice and short and sweet. Obviously, video previews can go up to 2 minutes, but even then, honestly, I think your video should probably be under a minute, especially for things like Instagram, TikTok, and of course, in this episode, we're talking about Pinterest. I think 15 seconds is really the sweet spot. Pinterest kind of recommends that. It's like the most popular watch time. And I found myself, my average watch time is about 15 seconds. So you're not showing a crazy amount here. It can be quite brief. And you can even do shorter ones than that. It can literally be 10 seconds long. That's fine. You just really want to be kind of giving a glimpse into the resource. You don't have to sit there and show the entirety of your resource. A good rule of thumb is just to print off maybe one part of it, maybe one worksheet or one craft or something like that. You don't have to go crazy. Obviously, you want to do some editing afterwards. So, bright always performs better on Pinterest. Like lighter, whiter visuals are always going to outperform some dark, dingy videos. So make sure it's got like a nice white brightness to it. You can increase the exposure and the brightness on your iPhone. And of course, if you don't want to just edit on your iPhone, you can use something like a free app like InShot. I love using that. Just get rid of the watermark and then, play around with the exposure and the filters and the things on there. A Color Story and Snapseed are another two apps that I sometimes use, and one of them is actually really good for photography. I actually find myself using A Color Story quite often because there's a really cool feature where you can use your finger to shade and make things whiter in certain areas. It's really cool. But I use InShot for videos for the most part, and it's very similar to your iPhone or to editing on Reels. You can just trim and cut things, get rid of any kind of extra bits you don't want, and just make it look as good as you can. Do a little bit of research into what a good video looks like when you're on your Instagram feed or looking through TPT and you happen to see someone else's videos. Think, oh, well, what are they doing that really caught your eye? What are they doing that's bad? Try to avoid that, but making sure that it's the best quality you can make it. And then it's ready for Pinterest. And I tend to make sure I always add my logo in the corner if I can. I don't always. There's, occasions where I don't get a chance to, and it's just quicker just to get it uploaded for some reason. But for the most part, I try to make the effort to do so. A lot of the time I find myself actually putting the video onto PowerPoint. So I'll film it on my iPhone. And then I usually use Facebook Messenger sometimes. I just message myself the video really quickly. And then I'm on my desktop computer or my laptop, whatever. I can go to Facebook Messenger really quickly and download the video onto my computer and then just throw up on Pinterest. Or in this case, I might throw it onto PowerPoint just so I can, if I want to edit it a bit more, I want to add a logo. Sometimes I add a title. You don't have to do this. You can just add the video as it is, but there is the option as well that you can add text onto a Pinterest pin. So you might cut off a bit of the top of the video and instead you might have a title saying, writing craft or math task cards, whatever. I don't know. Usually keep it short and sweet and simple, but just describing obviously what the product is. And this is like when I said earlier about cutting off the video to make it fit TPT previews. You might want to trim it and make it a square. Well, this is a good example of why you would want to make sure you have that white space around and you're not filling up the entire screen of your iPhone when you're filming. If you leave a bit of white gaps, the top and bottom, that way when you comes to editing on Pinterest, you can chop those bits off and you can fit a title there and you're not cutting off, important parts of your resource or anything like that. So that's something to be mindful of. Play around with that. But yeah, you can add a text overlay. Sometimes it's just handy if you feel like it needs to explain what the actual resource is. Obviously, you're going to put it up onto Pinterest. Pinterest will have to review it. Sometimes that can take a few hours, but for the most part, it's pretty quick. They just like to check that there's nothing inappropriate on there. And just like any other pin, title, description, link, and then you can actually add some tags as well. You type in things like kindergarten or first grade or whatever, there'll be little tags. But really, it's quite simple to adding a pin picture on Pinterest. The only other thing other than the tags that you need to do is choose a cover. So there's a little sliding bar underneath where you drag it and you can choose a sort of a thumbnail almost for your video, so that when it's on your profile and it's not playing at the time, it's not some dark blurry bit with your hand in the way. It's a beautiful shot, like a nice photo almost. So you can choose the best part of the video, or you can actually manually upload an image that could be the cover. And what I sometimes do is create a static picture pin at the same time as the video. and you'll have a pretty photo and it will have the text like title and everything like that. And I'll make a pin and I put that on Pinterest, but then I use that Pinterest pin again and I use it as like my video cover if it's for the same product. And that sometimes is handy if there's not a good thumbnail that I can grab. But yeah, that's basically kind of what you want to do. And I just find that videos perform better. I think it's the movement. People kind of are scrolling through Pinterest and they see, things moving around and it catches their eye. So, I just think it does perform better. So if you haven't been doing video pins, I highly recommend you do it. And as I've talked about in this episode, it's really handy if you're doing a product photography style video. I know that there are ways of using sort of screenshots and mock-ups and all these different other things, screencasting and stuff. But unless it's a digital resource, in which case, yes, you would be recording your screen to show like a set of BIM cards or Google Slides. If it's a printable resource, it's kind of non-negotiable now. You need to be doing product photography and videography and you need to be physically printing it out. Don't be lazy. It's worth it to make the money. Like, I know you might think, oh, it's going to take me 10 minutes to go and like set up my printer and print it out. But it's like, don't you want to make money on this resource? Like, ask yourself that. Is making money worth the effort? Then yeah, a lot of the time I ask myself that. I'm like, well, yes, it might take me some time to do this. I might have to set aside half an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, in order to take a photo of this resource or a video. But if that's going to make me hundreds or one day thousands of dollars on this resource, isn't that worth it? So you've got to kind of think about that. Just kind of keep it short and sweet though. Don't spend hours making one video pin. You'll just burn yourself out and it's not worth it. So just keep it simple if you can. But anyway, that's kind of all I wanted to share today. I want to just sort of, give you that reminder if you aren't already to be making video pins for Pinterest. They do perform better. Just follow the steps that I've given in this episode. I think it will really help. If you've not been doing a lot of video pins lately, maybe this will inspire you to get back into it. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, my Pinterest course, Terrific Pinning, is open this week. Yay, it's very exciting. So if you're someone that really prefers to learn through watching things, you want to see a tutorial of how to do things, you really want everything broken down step by step, you want to know exactly what to do, you don't want to spend hours and hours Googling it and then like making all these mistakes and just kind of tearing your hair out, then be sure to check out the link in the show notes. I'm going to link it to Terrific Pinning so you can check out the course, and I can't wait for you to join us. Have a terrific day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Terrific Teacherpreneur. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Come back for more actionable tips and helpful wisdom in the next episode with your host, Alex. Until then.